The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on June 16th, 2026.
It's time for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Other perspectives and programming on this station do not necessarily reflect the views, values, or positions of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, which is an independent and inclusive organization serving Maui businesses and the community since 1910. Now here's your host, the Maui Chamber of Commerce President, Pamela Tumpop. Good morning, Pam, and welcome back.
Thank you. Aloha, Gary. So good to be back on Maui and with you this morning. How was your week last week?
I've had an interesting couple of days here. On Saturday, my wife was sick, so I spent 4 hours at Kaiser Urgent Care. And then yesterday, she's doing well. She has, because this crud that's going around, I have it, but then she has asthma, so it gets even worse. So she's off today. Then yesterday, I got a call, and my mom tripped and fell in front of Whole Foods. So I was at the emergency room for 4.5 hours yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. Well, they're getting to know you pretty well at the hospital.
Yes. So
How's Mom doing?
Oh, she's doing great. She has like 16 lives, not just 9 lives, but like 16 lives.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yes.
We want to keep our moms with us as long as we can.
That's right. I called her this morning. She said, I'm fine. Don't worry.
Good.
I told her I was going to go home and take a shower and I'll be back. She said, for what? I'll spend the night with you. I said, why?
She's a tough cookie. I like that.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Well, I wish just love and blessings to your family and just want to thank you every day for all you do, especially when you've got so much going on in your world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited today, everyone, to share with you one of the most important business advocacy and relationship building events that we do each year, have been doing, and as Hawaii participates in Hawaii on the Hill. And this was the 10th annual Hawaii on the Hill event at our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So I'm just coming back from that and a couple of days in New York. And we're going to hear from Chris Branson of Mana Insurance Solutions. He's been on before, and of course, as you know, insurance is a really hot topic these days, so we're going to talk to him as well. But I thought I'd start out by telling you a little bit about the adventure this year. So we proudly participated in Hawaii on the Hill, and we have been since it was first created 10 years ago, recognizing the importance of ensuring that Maui County has a seat at the table when they're having important federal policy discussions and critical learning events that really help us move forward. So with this 10th anniversary, it was a great time for us and Hawaii businesses to showcase our businesses, our culture, our innovation, our workforce, and be there representing the priorities of our members before congressional leaders, federal agencies, military leaders, national business organizations, and policymakers. So this was the first time, though, every neighbor island chamber of commerce was represented, along with over 100 Hawaii businesses and organizations. So this year's event was a really big event and very exciting. And I kind of want to just take you sort of behind the scenes of what Hawaii on the Hill is and explain why we're continuing to invest in this, because these policy discussions and opportunities, don't come around every day. And it's really wonderful that we are there as part of the voice to help strengthen Hawaii's voice in Washington. So the vision of this was really created through a partnership between Senator Mazie Hirono, who said, she was attending on the Capitol many of these Taste of, Virginia, Taste of Washington, Taste of you name it state, and said, gosh, why isn't Hawaii doing a Taste of event? I realized that, one of the key barriers, of course, is those are states on the continent, and it's easier for them to come and bring products in and ship products where we are separated by a body of water and our travel is more expensive and our shipping is more expensive. But she partnered with the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii, who then partnered with chambers, the neighbor island chambers and different regional and ethnic chambers to participate in this event. And we've been there from year one. And we all recognize that Hawaii needs a stronger voice in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to say, if you're watching the news these days and you see some of the challenges we're seeing to our programs, to Department of Hawaiian Homeland's lands, this is an important time to be there. And we, needed to just look at ways to overcome the geographic isolation so that we can address the issues affecting our state and stay deeply connected to federal policy. So this vision, while it was simple in its inception, and of course very powerful in its inception, has been built over the last 10 years, where we bring Hawaii directly to Washington. We allow decision makers to experience Hawaii's businesses, products, culture, people, and priorities firsthand. The vision has grown into one of the most respected state advocacy events in the country. And they say, and I'm not just proudly bragging, but many legislators say, and have said to me personally, that, and Mazie Hirono, of course, who put this together, gets many compliments each year. And we have been touted as the best taste event out of all of the states. Senator Hirono described the event and said, from our policy summit with congressional leaders to the flagship Taste of Hawaii event, I am proud to carry on this tradition of partnering with the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii and all the chambers and small businesses and show the rest of the country what the Aloha spirit is all about. And we bring that in spades. When they come into our event, all of the participants, and it's congressional leaders, their staffers, other key personnel in different departments, many of the top departments, people like the SBA and Department of Ag and other key tourism and other departments critical to our economy, come to this event. The department has come to this event, and some of their staffers. They're all greeted with lei. And, of course, there's cocktails. People love our Mai Tais. And then, of course, they just love sampling at the Taste event food from all across the island. So it really captures so much of Hawaii. Yes, it's business advocacy. Yes, it's economic development. Yes, it's absolutely public policy. But it's also about sharing the spirit of aloha and helping others understand Hawaii's unique contributions to our nation. So in addition, in addition to all the fun that people have, right, it serves four important purposes: economic advocacy, business development, workforce development, and cultural representation. And each of these is critically important to Hawaii's future. So many people say, well, this is a huge investment for the chamber to attend. And it is. It is. But if Maui's not in the room, then Maui's not part of the conversation. We need to be there because federal policies influence virtually every aspect of life in Maui County: housing, transportation, agriculture, tourism, workforce development, military spending. Now, we don't have a military installation here the way other neighbor islands do, but, we understand how important the military is to all of our islands. Disaster recovery, right? With Maui, we thought, okay, we had a huge major disaster with the wildfires. And then, of course, statewide, we saw flooding. Infrastructure investment. If we want affordable housing, we need infrastructure. We need environmental protection, healthcare, education, technology, economic development. The list goes on and on. So these are the issues we work on every day. And to be connected back to federal decisions and federal funding is really paramount. It's very important to us. And it's very important to all of you who are listening that live in Hawaii and Maui. It's critically important that we engage in these conversations and we get involved, especially now, especially with decisions being made very quickly, especially with legal challenges over personal rights. There's a lot of things going on, and this is a time when we need to be all paying attention to what's happening and sharing our thoughts and our opinions. Federal funding opportunities are really built upon strong relationships that then strengthen our communities. So advocacy begins with relationships. It begins with having conversations. Economic development begins with relationships. And understanding begins with relationships. And there were many opportunities for us to do that. And Hawaii on the Hill is one of those unique opportunities that builds on those relationships while educating policymakers about our unique needs and opportunities in Maui, and Lanai. So it's one of those things that we see as paramount in terms of an opportunity to connect on a national level at such an important event. So this event this year is always kind of culminated. We end with the Taste of Hawaii on the Hill. Again, like these other states. But we do it, as I said, it's done in a big and very grand way. We had more than 1,600 attendees participate, including members of Congress, congressional staff, military leaders, federal agencies, national business executives from large corporations, nonprofit corporations, media representatives. So imagine 1,600 influential leaders experience Hawaii in one evening, and it's packed. It is in a Senate conference room, the largest one we can get. We had to set up very quickly this year because they had meetings before our event, which limited our window to get in. We were doing the wiki setup, but to make sure that everything was set when people walked in the door, and we were in the very front. As people walked in, the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii and Maui Chamber of Commerce were represented right out front, and we shared samples and educated attendees about the products and explained the stories behind the businesses that we brought from Maui County. Now, we're a little different than some of the other companies that are represented there. Some of our neighbor island partners, they bring in whole companies. And, there's a limited amount of tables. There's no room for growth. We've been barely trying to hold on to 3 tables that we've had historically. We try and buy them early. Well, then we are supported by the Office of Economic Development through Maui County, which we greatly appreciate. And their team joined us to help us serve these products, but we brought 9 products. We do 3 products per 8-foot table. It's a lot of products, and you have to constantly restock the products because people are eager to have them. And we brought in 9 companies representing Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, phenomenal products that we got to share and let people taste. And then in addition to that, what we do is for each of the participants we bring, and we buy their products from them wholesale. We're not asking them to cool. These are small businesses. Through the grant, we're able to buy their products, and we put it out to our, festival vendors and local makers so that they can tell us if they're interested, and they have to be able to meet the quantity to serve that many, 1,600 people. Sometimes many people come back a second time, which happens to Maui's booth all the time because they love our products. And in addition to getting promoted at the event, we have a half-page flyer that shares these 9 companies, their names and how to reach them with a QR code, and making everybody aware that these companies do ship, and you can shop these Maui products that you just fell in love with when you're tasting them at the event. And we tell their story. We tell the story about their product, their innovation, their connection with agriculture, about their entrepreneurship and their resilience. We have to do it very quickly because that kind of crowd gives us literally about 30 seconds per person or per group. You can usually get about 3 people who can listen to what you're saying very quickly. And it's a lot of fun. And the reactions were incredible. I mean, just amazing. People were so genuinely excited to learn about the products being created in our island communities. They had questions about the products. They wanted to know more. So it's not simply a product promotion that we're doing. It's an economic development initiative that we're doing. And then through the QR codes, these companies will get to see who's looking them up and see what kind of sales they get and know that they were promoted to over 1,600 people. It's really about this. We take this opportunity to not only bring delicious treats and showcase the beauty and bounty of Maui, but to help our very small businesses help them, give them another opportunity to connect with an audience. And this, of course, with these congressional leaders, right? This is not only a D.C. audience. Yes, they work in D.C. This is leaders from across the nation who are there, I should say continent, across the continent, who are there representing their constituents and sharing things from Hawaii. And also there's phenomenal Hawaiian music, too. So it's really beyond a business conference. It's really taking up a cultural experience. And throughout the week, there, in addition to the policy summit and the getting to meet Maisie Hirono and having a talk story with her and all the other events, the different panels that we had, it's also a cultural experience. So throughout the week, we had Hawaiian music. A group called the Aloha Boys came. Amy Hanai'oli Gilliam came again, as she has done many years. So I think the Aloha Boys have been there throughout. We share cultural traditions, storytelling, hospitality, and aloha. And for those who could attend, before Hawaii on the Hill kicked off, one of the most meaningful traditions, because the timing of this event is centered around King Kamehameha Day. And one of the most meaningful traditions is the King Kamehameha lei draping ceremony held at the United States Capitol. And so this annual observance honors King Kamehameha the Great, who unified the Hawaiian Islands. And the ceremony serves as a powerful reminder that Hawaii's story is unique within the American experience. It serves as a bridge between East and West, between America and the Pacific, between tradition and innovation, and to carry on the work of King Kamehameha. Many of the most meaningful conversations outside of formal meetings happened at this event as well. And so, you're listening to music, you're discussing family with people from across the state, and you're learning about other people's culture, why they're at this amazing event, how we continue the unity that Kamehameha started and move forward, because as he said, his work is not done, it needs to go on. These experiences help also decision makers who attend understand who we are and why Hawaii matters. And the spirit of aloha, while sometimes difficult to explain to people and share because it's a very complex spirit and knowledge that comes with patience and practice and understanding. They get a sense of that when they experience things like the lei draping firsthand. And it was wonderful this year. I have been before this year. We did take up a maili lei. The leis can be up to 9 feet long because they drape them over King Kamehameha's extended arm. Our Office of OEV Resources represented Maui County there as well. So each of us went up and provided a lei in celebration of King Kamehameha Day and the King. So it was a really great experience that kind of kicked everything off. One of the great highlights as we got into the following morning was a great talk story with Maisie Hirono. And it's always great to hear from her. It's always great to hear about the work that she's doing. And, of course, she is fighting. She is fighting in this climate right now to save not only funding for Hawaii, which, of course, is critical to us all, but to save our personal freedom, to save attacks on those freedoms, to save attacks on diversity and inclusion, and to, just move us in a positive fashion that is really more aligned with the spirit that we're so accustomed to in Hawaii, but right now is highly challenged on national levels. The amount of money being spent to fight lawsuits, the amount of money being spent to fight wars, the issues that we need resolution on and to move positively forward. She and our congressional team are standing strong for Hawaii. And we had a chance to hear from each of them in different forms and fashions, and to connect with them throughout this event. And this is a time a time where it's really important for each of us to exercise our voice and to speak up and to remember that, when the house was stormed, and people are now saying those who stormed our house, that is, the nation's capital is our house. They stormed our house. When we're talking about people who are saying, hey, they deserve retribution for things they shared, that's a huge problem. And, for the things that they did, they now want retribution for the circumstances they received for their actions in huge sums of money when they attacked our house. I personally have an issue with that, and many do. And it's a lot of money. And we need our money spent on taking care of the people across the continent, taking care of critically important shared interests, taking care of what is seriously and dangerously important right now, which is our economic health and reducing our national debt, which has exceeded our gross domestic product right now. We are overspending in huge ways. And then we are seeing policy attacks on many different levels. Now is the time to get involved. So there was a lot of discussion around these things, and a lot of discussion on what Hawaii is doing and will start doing and will continue to do. So please stay tuned, but, check in with the chamber, check in with, I'm sure everybody's watching the news. I'm watching the news multiple times a day these days because things are changing so quickly. But it's really important to see. And, it was interesting to come into Washington and see the big claw for the UFC fight right in front of the picture of our nation's capital. I mean, it's just a very different time and a very different spending program. And it's time to really share our voice on key priorities to move us forward. One of the great panels that I had the opportunity to listen into was a panel on technology. And so that was a very important panel, and it was about the future of technology. And it was a state of technology panel that was weighted pretty heavily. The discussion was focused on artificial intelligence and how AI is rapidly moving from a buzzword to critical infrastructure, and critical infrastructure needed to sustain it. I was a little surprised that sort of everybody on the panel kind of said when we talked about environmental concerns with energy and water, is it worth it? Are there concerns? And while they noted there are some concerns, it was sort of a uniform yes, that it's worth it. But some of us wanted more discussion on the trade-off. We didn't really get to that. But the panel featured leaders from Oceanit, which is a Hawaii company, Google, Scale AI, DoorDash, OpenAI, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So it was a great program. It was moderated by Oceanit's Director of Product, Matthew Sullivan. And what I most appreciated was that there was a balanced nature in the conversation in terms of the value of AI, unfortunately not compared with the environmental impacts, but the value of AI moving forward. They talked about the issues of replacing people. They talked about the issues of helping communities understand the opportunities and challenges. We talked about how Hawaii can develop high value-added jobs, how this technology can support economic diversification, and how it can help businesses become more competitive, and how we look at AI in terms of improved productivity and innovation. But we also needed to address, and we did to some degree, cybersecurity, ethics, resilience, and workforce readiness. We talked about that, again, some of the hiccups with AI, right? AI is machine-based learning, and it's taking data from wherever it can find it. And while it will draw on other creativity examples it finds, it is not our own individual intelligent creativity. As human beings, it's not going to be able to get that look as we move more and more into it, it might be able to see some of our past thinking and incorporate some of our past thinking. It might help us shape some of our future thinking based on our past thinking and views that we share. But we are eternally creating beings, and we are very creative and coming up with new things all the time. And that it will lag in. So it was a very interesting conversation, and I was very excited to be a part of it. And we actively contributed with different questions that we asked, some of which got heard and some of which didn't because it's a big group. So we totally understand that. But it was wonderful to really get to hear from these key leaders and hear what they're doing in communities and hear about opportunities that we can take advantage of moving forward. There was also a phenomenal appropriations panel. It's called Appropriation 101, and that was a very valuable education session that we attended. Now we realize, that while appropriations may sound like an exciting topic, because appropriations are about getting money, and it sounds exciting in the world, it's really important to remember that there's a process, and it can be an arduous process. So it's understanding the process as they walked us through it, and we'll be sharing some of these materials in the coming weeks on the Chamber's website as we get some more of the thorough presentations that are coming to us. But we'll be putting some of this information out. But federal appropriations are the process through which Congress allocates funding for programs and projects across America. So you can imagine that every year billions of dollars are distributed through grants, infrastructure programs, economic development initiatives, workforce programs, housing programs, disaster recovery efforts, agricultural assistance, transportation funding, and environmental projects, and much more. I'm just kind of giving you some of the critical highlights for Hawaii. So understanding this process is crucial because good projects do not automatically receive funding, especially depending on how the write-up goes and the tremendous competition we're up against. So it's critically important that organizations understand how this process works. The timeline, because if you miss the timeline, you're out. The application requirements, if you don't do it to the exact letter of the instructions, you can be out. Federal priorities, you want to align with those priorities. You want to ensure you've got partnership opportunities so they can see the breadth of the program and why it's critically important. And you have to talk about you're going to have to get involved in talking about your program with lawmakers and personnel with key divisions and, advocate for your strategies and the program. So this knowledge is critically important for all islands, but Maui County, of course, is what we're there to represent. And so, whether we're pursuing wildfire recovery assistance, flooding assistance, housing investments, infrastructure projects, workforce programs, agricultural initiatives, environmental restoration projects, economic diversification projects, sustainability projects, all of this understanding of federal appropriations is essential. So with knowledge, we gain power. And that power allows communities to better compete more effectively for resources that we seek. So this session provided valuable insights on how we can better position ourselves and our community to pursue federal opportunities. So we were thrilled to do that. And we are also thrilled to be looking at how we can take lessons from the technology panel and move that panel, and the lessons learned to improve our technological changes and be a bigger contributor using that technology and partnerships to sustain our organizations in Hawaii and create new opportunities. And then we had Kama'aina Come Home. So it is a great component of Hawaii on the Hill. This initiative helps connect students and professionals living on the mainland with career opportunities back home. And each year we bring people back home. Last year we had an amazing intern who helped us at Hawaii on the Hill, and she was coming back after several months after Hawaii on the Hill to work for Goodfellow Brothers, and we were thrilled. And many more are coming home. And many of our students intern for our congressional leaders on the Hill and then come back and find jobs here in Hawaii. So this is an important part of the program. And the question is, of course, how do we encourage them to return? How do we connect them with opportunities here? How do we strengthen the workforce pipeline? And we had many different tables there at Kama'ainaka Home with different companies coming, and sharing job opportunities with Maui County and other counties sharing job opportunities, with lawmakers sharing job opportunities back home. And just, letting them know. Of course, what do they want to know about? They want to know about the housing. Where are they going to live? And what is the price of housing? What are the job opportunities? What are the higher end job opportunities to afford the housing? And how is that different from other opportunities they can see in the continent, in areas where they worked or interned over there? So what we're doing, though, is making valuable connections between employers and prospective employees. It's talent attraction, it's talent retention, and workforce development is an essential component of Hawaii's long-term success, including Maui's. So this is a very diverse program that we do every year, and it's something that we greatly enjoy. It's a lot of work. Many of them go from morning to late evening, 8 to 10 o'clock at night. We do get some breaks in between as we prepare for some of these events. Also some time for networking amongst ourselves, but actually it's a lot of organization. And where we really get to do most of the networking is at the evening events, where it's more social and we get to connect with people across the state and the congressional leaders in a more social fashion and have other types of conversations, which is really wonderful. So this year, as we celebrated the 10th annual Hawaii on the Hill, I certainly congratulate Senator Mazie Hirono for her vision and leadership, the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii, who that first year came forward and made it happen. They only had a few months, as did those who were there in year one, but it has certainly built over the years to a phenomenal thing where space is limited. It's hard to get table space. We're competing actually against each other to have a presence, but it is a phenomenal event. This year, the Hawaii Tourism Authority was a major sponsor of the event, and all the participating organizations, the volunteers, and the businesses who contributed to make this year's event such a success, as well as the businesses who shared their products. The companies that we were able to take, just shares the beauty of Maui, the phenomenal products that we have, and lets people have experiences that they're not even aware of. They don't even know these companies exist and these products exist. And it puts our local manufacturers and the Maui Chamber of Commerce, who shares their products and their stories, on the national stage. So I want you to know, for those of you here in Maui County, you were proudly represented. We talk about our people. We talk about our culture. We talk about the aloha spirit. And, and people say Maui really shines bright there. Again, it's about advocacy, relationships, and opportunity. And the Maui Chamber of Commerce is the voice for Maui businesses. We are there to represent our community and have a presence in Washington, D.C. And as lawmakers understand Maui better, they make better informed decisions. When relationships are built, opportunities emerge. And we have many opportunities to work with some of the speakers now. And Jennings Zamel from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, representing the Western region, which includes Hawaii, is going to be, as already promoted, he'll be coming and speaking about what's going on across the nation and some of the amazing things that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, working with Hawaii and us at the Maui Chamber, is working on. And he'll be coming to our summer celebration, July 10th. It's going to be coming up soon. So tickets are available at mauichamber.com. Don't miss out. You're going to learn a lot more from Jennings Zamel with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Western Region. You'll be excited to hear. He's a phenomenal speaker and a great educator. And, again, it's another opportunity. And when we open business and when our businesses are showcased nationally, right? Doors open. And with those QR codes, those 9 companies will have a chance to have increased sales. Senator Hirono says, Hawaii has so much to teach the rest of the country through the spirit of aloha. And we are doing that. Hawaii on the Hill gives us that opportunity to share that aloha while ensuring Hawaii's voice is heard on really important decisions and at a time when they're being made. And all of us can do that every day. Watch the news, pay attention, know your congressional leaders. Let them know how you feel about these bills and the advocacy that's happening. Let them know your ideas, right? While we're there, we're not just saying, okay, here's what's happening and here's how we can ring in it. We're being proactive. What might come down the pike? What are other things that we care about that's not in the discussion? What are other ideas to reframe or reshape the discussion that's happening? Getting these ideas out there, building coalitions. Last week and the week before, we talked about disaster preparedness and having more communication with your neighbors and building that resiliency, street by street, community by community, island by island, right? We say Las Vegas is the 9th island. Well, we're also deeply dependent on the continent and what happens in D.C. So let's share our voices and be ready to share our opinions and advocate for things that are near and dear to our hearts. And now, with the appropriations panel and the information we're going to share there, we're going to help people be more resilient and better understand how to go about seeking federal funding. Also, learning more about different agencies and what they do with our policy summit. We've got great information on work being done in the different agencies in economic development, in farming, in trying to find ways to get those tariffs that small businesses paid back and get some recovery funds, and understanding some of the processes there. Lots of great information that we'll be sharing. So please look for that information. It's not available yet. We'll let you know on Business Matters, but in the coming week or two, there'll be more information, and we'll be putting some information out in the press to let people know, hey, it's been uploaded online. So look for that. And in the meantime, look up what happened on Hawaii Hill. See some of the pictures, and we'll be sharing more in social media coming up, but lots of great things happening. It was a wonderful event, and we look forward to doing it again next year. So we also, as I shared, are going to have a little bit of an insurance update and briefing from Chris Branson of Mana Insurance Solutions. Chris is the founder and president of Mana Insurance Services and has been in the insurance industry for 25 years. His agency has grown to almost 50 benefits agents serving the communities on each island, with an additional 60 producers in several mainland states. And of course, having a broad breadth of insurance producers is very helpful as we are having insurance challenges here. He started this Maui-based business agency after the wildfires hit our island because the need for support and education was so high. And that was really the right thing to do. He knew the industry, and he found new solutions to help ensure that we are well covered for things that come after this. He is married and is grateful for his 5 children who embody, as he says, everything great about the world. I absolutely love that. Through the eyes of children, we seek and gain so much knowledge. So I'm so glad to have Chris on this morning. Chris, are you on the show?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. So glad to have you with us again.
Thank you so much. Hope you had a good trip last week.
I did. It was a great trip, but I'm still overcoming that 6-hour time difference. I'm getting there. I wake up in the middle of the night and go to sleep, but it's getting there. But I'm definitely awake for this morning show. So I'm so glad to have you on because there's so much going on in the world of insurance. Now that we're 6 months out into 2026, what do you see happening? What's coming up?
So, several things. There are a lot more individual options available in the market. And, obviously, local business owners, have a lot of forced insurance on them. But, I've just found here being on island that most people just have no idea where to go. for support.
Right.
If they're working with a PEO, or an ASO, someone who's helping with payroll and employees, they might be getting some benefit education there. But otherwise, most people just don't have a resource to go to get questions answered and see if they're paying too much. Maybe they haven't gone out in the market, for years, and they've just taken the increases with Kaiser every single year or HMSA every single year. And, money's tight right now. And, one of the things that we really pride ourselves in is one, the education piece, because the more that we know, the better we can, address situations. But, then helping people explore ways to not only save money, but even strengthen their benefit package. There's just several new benefits that are coming into the market, as technology is leveraged more and AI, and, there's just a lot that's being utilized. And, here in Hawaii, because of the Hawaii prepaid healthcare law, we have stronger benefits, but it's also a much more rigid process when there's new benefits out there, but they may or may not, make it here to Hawaii. So
Yeah.
Just grateful that we can help.
Well, we are grateful that you are there to help because, again, this is such a critical time. And, we're worried. People are very worried about losing benefits, given what's happening in federal spending. And so it's a time of many different questions, and it's a time of great uncertainty. What are some of the new benefit options available to local companies?
Well, first off, I see a trend in more guarantee issue benefits being offered. And what that means, for anybody that doesn't resonate with, is just everyone qualifies. There's no medical questions. Doesn't matter if someone's diabetic or if they have height weight issues, if someone's gone through cancer or had a heart attack or stroke. A lot of times they don't qualify for additional benefits. And we have some new benefit partners that for companies as small as 3 employees, they can get guarantee issue coverage for injuries, illnesses, pregnancy, disability, life insurance. We've had immediate family experiences where someone's gone through a serious medical condition and they can't qualify for new benefits at that point unless, they have access to these guarantee issue benefits. So,
Right.
Not only that, but we also, one of the carriers that we work with, they actually waive pre-existing conditions, that's unheard of. That doesn't usually happen. Yeah. Usually if something's been diagnosed or treated in the past 12 months, they're not going to cover it for the next 12 months or maybe not at all. So to see that's one of the things we're seeing in the market. Another thing that's really cool that we personally signed up for as a family is there's a new virtual care program, and it's 24/7 virtual care. It's 24/7, or it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 primary care. And a lot of times when people are switching medical carriers, they have to find a new primary care physician to take care of them. And a lot of the offices, because of funding and being understaffed, they can't take on new patients. So even if someone switched insurance, they might not be able to find a provider on any of the carriers. So I really like this program because they can actually find a primary care physician. They can see them free as much as they want, and they can always go back and see the same person. So that's included. It's free dermatology. There's some free mental health support services. There's a health advocate program. One of the things we really like, because we have so many animals, and we just keep collecting more animals, but they have free virtual vet visits as well, too, where you can get free consultations. Yep. At no cost. So to have all that included at no cost, and then have $0 acute prescriptions, $5 chronic care medications, there's listed 200 of those, and then 80% off pet prescriptions, and it's $12 a month per employee for the low-end package, and $65 a month to cover the entire family, as many pets as you have, for $65 a month. Like, it's just for all of those benefits. So it just shows the shift in the market and how we can take more control. So whether someone's on MedQuest or they have, a carrier, or they don't have any insurance right now and they're just taking their chances, that's something else that we've seen too. It's only available for companies. Self-employed individuals can't get it yet. But I'm a huge fan of that. We've already used it for a pet consult already, and it's just been a great experience. So again, it's just cool. I think that's another reason why I wanted to start the agency is I just want to I want to continue going out in the market and finding what's available and bringing it back for us to be able to take advantage of, because people here just need help, not only with education, but just getting care in general. And a lot of people just don't know where to go.
Well, I'm so glad that you're on the show today, and I love all of our conversations, honestly. But this new program seems phenomenal. I do always tell people that we are a 4-dog household here, and just even the monthly meds that we give our dogs just to protect them is expensive. So 80% off on pet medication alone for us would be a huge benefit. I mean, it's and as you say, we've been accumulating more and more. I think we're holding at 4 now, but we'll see. No, these are really exciting benefits, but also, again, I'm saying that because we're both talking about pets, and that, I can see immediate savings there. But again, for those who are, getting to a point where they'll waive past situations, right, and be able to provide coverage and take care of those, say, okay, we're going to waive these pre-existing conditions. That's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
There are so many people who need those opportunities. And what I love about you is, Chris, that you're so open just to talking to people. You're always the person who says, let me just help you explore this. So I want everybody to know, and we're going to share your information so people know how to reach you. But I also know that you've been looking at, in addition to other benefits for individuals, you're looking for things for individuals and also self-employed business owners. Talk a little bit about, if you're a self-employed business owner, what that can look like.
Yeah, Dan, thank you. I've just seen a trend in the market for years, especially here in Hawaii, where if someone's going to be self-employed, they're either moving to Hawaii to do their business remote, or they've lived here as a W-2 employee and realize that for them to sustain themselves, they need to go out and open up their own business, to really generate wealth. And, we all came from W-2 companies where we were used to getting benefit education and access to benefits. And so that's something that we really specialize in and take to heart. For those self-employed individuals, there's several health insurance options available. There's disability, income replacement that can be needed, because many self-employed people do not pay into state disability and TDI. So if they get hurt or sick and they can't work, they have no money coming in. They're in immediate financial trouble. They can get $4,000 a month of disability related to injuries for $30-$40 a month. If they get hurt and they can't work, they have most of their money coming in, so they can pay most of their bills while they're getting better. So we do that. We have several different individual life insurance options, including some that will return all of your premium back after 20 years or 30 years or after a certain time period if you haven't passed away. So that's very popular. We've just added on long-term care and annuities as well. And we may... And see, that's the thing. We were going to do Medicare last year, because I know that, especially here on Maui, there's definitely more need for Medicare support. We were just too busy. We couldn't do it last year. We're looking at it this year. But that's where I feel we really bring a lot of value, too, is that even if we can't help somebody, or even if they would be better switching from, based on their financial situation, they would be better qualifying for MedQuest and applying. And, I run into a lot of people who, maybe they went online to try and qualify for MedQuest and it didn't work. We're suggesting that they call them, because a lot of times they will qualify, or at least their children will qualify, and they're saving $1,000 or $1,500 a month that they can, refocus and put on their family. So we try and refer out as much as possible if we don't personally take care of particular types of benefits. But we're always trying to expand and, and in the individual market, I mean, there's programs right now. There's memberships, the GLP-1 weight loss, peptides, mental health, male and female hormone treatments, ED, just all of those things. There's membership programs out there for individuals where they can get access to all that for $69 a month or $99 a month. And then they have access to not only a lot of those programs and support services, but also, significant discounts for peptides or GLP-1s or, some of those, the injectables that are out. And some of those programs, because that's what we do for individuals, but in talking about this, prescriptions are really driving up costs for companies when it comes to health insurance. And so we're looking at ways to help them save money by leveraging some of these other programs, that are saving them $400, $500, $600 per employee when they could shift some of these costs away from their health insurance to some of these other programs. So, a lot of coverage for individuals and companies, but it all starts with a conversation. And we do have some assessments on our website. If people go to our website, they can actually go and take an individual assessment and put in their information, and it'll tell them, hey, based on what you shared with me, here's where you're doing a great job. Here's some areas that you may think about. So we have an assessment on there for individuals and for businesses.
Okay, tell us, we've got a couple minutes and I want to ask you one more question, but tell us right now, where can they find that assessment online and how do they contact you?
ManaInsuranceSolutions.com is our website. So ManaInsuranceSolutions.com. My direct line is area code 808-303-5040. And my email address is info at ManaInsuranceSolutions.com. But the other thing I want to throw out there, too, is that we're doing a World Cup contest right now as well. My son and I are huge football fans, and we've been enjoying the World Cup the last couple of days, and I think a lot of people are, especially since it's hosted here in our country. But we've got a free contest going on where people can pick their top three teams to go all the way to the semifinals, and so we're giving away several cash prizes, and it's just for fun. I put it out to my personal network, our community, anybody that wants to participate, just to have fun with it. But there's a lot of good information on there. But go ahead.
Oh, so they can do the World Cup free contest at ManaInsuranceSolutions.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay, before we go, I just want to ask, because you're such a wealth of information, what suggestions might you have for companies or families who feel they are paying too much for their insurance plans? And I'm assuming it's going to be they better start with calling you.
Well, yeah, that's definitely one option. We're all so busy. We've got summer now. People are traveling, and most of the time the delay is just in carving out some time to do it. So we're just asking people just to reach out and have a conversation, and from there we can do an assessment and help them the best way possible. Yeah. And we always want to save them money too. So that's focused on that. Yes, ma'am.
That's it. Yeah, you are looking for solutions to help everybody save money and get the best services they possibly can. I love that, ma'am. Chris. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a treasure to have you. And to everybody listening, thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's a fast hour, but I hope you've gotten some valuable information today. Please look at ways to save on your insurance, and you don't have to do all the hard work. Chris is here to help you. And stay tuned. We'll be sharing when we've got more information on the website about Hawaii on the Hill. Lots of great lessons learned to help you. In the meantime, blessings and aloha. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. Ahui ho.